All right, so this morning we're going to start from Luke chapter 17. And in verse 7, it says this: Will any one of you who has a servant plowing or keeping sheep say to him when he has come in from the field, "Come at once and recline at the table"? Will he not rather say to him, "Prepare supper for me and dress properly and serve me while I eat and drink, and afterward you will eat and drink"? Does he thank the servant because he did what was commanded? So also, when you have done all that you were commanded, say, "We are unworthy servants. We have only done what was our duty." All right, now I want you here, because some people are ADD and missed everything I just said. I'm going to read it one more time. And I want you to take in what I'm saying. Try to harness your ADD. Ask God to free you from distractions. And I'm going to reread Luke 17, verses 7 to 10. So take it in, listen. Here we go. Well, any one of you who has a servant plowing or keeping sheep, I don't know how many of you are keeping sheep this morning. If so, this really applies to you. Say to him when he has come in from the field, come at once and recline at the table. Will he not rather say to him, "Prepare supper for me and dress properly and serve me while I eat and drink, and afterward you will eat and drink"? Does he thank the servant because he did what was commanded? So also, when you have done all that you were commanded, say, "We are unworthy servants. We have only done what was our duty." All right, now, in that culture, you got actual people who have servants that are taking care of things for them. And so this contextually, culturally made sense when somebody heard this story. Today, I don't think any of you have servants at home. If so, I don't know about it. I don't know about anybody that's got servants hanging out in your house. But I want you to think about what I just read and maybe process at your tables and with each other. What is this? What do you think this means? What do you think is the point? What do you think Jesus is trying to say here? So go, talk about it. What's it mean? Luke 17, 7 to 10. What's it mean? What do you guys think it's about? Luke 17. Go ahead.
I think it's about like doing your duty while you're on earth.
Okay.
Like while you're on earth, you have like a responsibility, a duty to like use the God-given talents you have. Like God's given you these things and they're gifts, and you use them to share with people, and you to bless people, to help people, to like the song, like a little less like just like show kindness, mercy, like help the beggar on the street. Help these people.
So do your duty. Yeah. Do your duty. Use your talents. Yeah. That's what we're called to do. Yeah. When Jesus talked to the disciples right before he ascended, you remember what he called them? You will be my, Good guess. Keep trying. You will be my. He did call them. He did call them family, right? But you will be my. It's Great Commission stuff. You guys know the Great Commission? You will be my witnesses. Yeah. You'll be my witnesses to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, uttermost parts of the earth. Witnesses, right? So a witness does what? What does a witness do? They tell you what they saw, right? You're just gonna pass on what you saw. You got this from me. Like literally, the job is this. Like, I saw him, right? Yeah. It's like the first people. I saw the tomb. It's empty. I ran into this glowing dude. It's crazy. The guy's alive, right? Then the disciples, hey, we saw him post-resurrection, right? Well, we talked to people that saw him. Well, we talk to the people that talk to the people that saw him, right? So it's just like we come from this long line of people who are sharing something that was passed on to us because it was passed on to them. And so we're witnesses. Yep, we're witnesses to who Jesus is, what Jesus has done. I think a great analogy picture is like a mailman. Right? I have never celebrated the mailman. Have you? I mean,
Yeah, only when they bring something in.
but do you celebrate the mailman or the package? So greeting, appreciation, sure. But have you ever popped popcorn, stepped outside and went, dude, the mailman crushed it today. He was amazing. Look at what he did. He's just delivering he's just the delivery guy, right? He's just dropping off a package. Where is the room for boasting about the ability to drop off a package? All you're doing is sharing something, giving something, passing something on to other people. Now, you want to make sure that you don't fumble it into the weeds next to the front door. You want to make sure you don't spill your coffee on the package, right? And it doesn't get damaged en route. But really, the ultimate job is to pass something else on. And the thing that you're passing on is the thing that people are excited about. They're excited about what they're getting from you, right? It's not about you, it's about the thing that you're giving to other people, that you're taking great delight or joy in, like, here, this is for you. I'm passing this on to you. I'm excited about this. I'm giving this to you, is really the job of people that are witnesses to the gospels. We're going, hey, I'm enjoying this. My job is sort of to be like a courier. And what I want to do is I want to pass on to you this thing that I love so much, that I'm really excited about. And then you're in response going to be like, now I'm excited about it, right? So I want to pass it on to someone else. And at the end of the day, if we develop an ego because of our job of being the greatest courier, the greatest delivery person, it's like, it's not about us. It's about what we're delivering. Like, we're delivering something that is actually life-changing. We're passing on something that's incredibly, wildly good news. And we couldn't be more thrilled to hand off to someone something that could change their life forever. I want to pass that on to them. So the job here is to really be delivery people. That's why he says at the end of this, we just go, I don't know. At the end of the day, we were just delivering packages, right? It's not, where's the room for boasting? That's why you see the people that followed Jesus real closely. John the Baptist is going, I can't even hold a sandal.
Yeah.
Paul's going, I'm the chief of sinners. They're like in this competition of like, who's the worst? I'm the lowest, right? And I think John the Baptist, the one who was loved, who says he was loved by God, right? And he was like the one who loved God, the one who loved Jesus, the one who was loved by Jesus. Where do you get that kind of love? From being a sinner who's forgiven, right? The one who is forgiven much loves much. So there's something about receiving the love and forgiveness of God that you just are so in love with someone that loved you so much, that forgave you so much. We love him because he first loved us. And it was God's love and forgiveness that draws us to him. And just, where's John? Get all that, right? So you got John, you got Paul, you got John the Baptist, these people that are just receivers of the love of God, that are constantly saying stuff like, he must increase, I must decrease. God resists the proud, gives grace to the humble. So the whole image here is not about like, look at how good of a Christian I am. That's not the idea of Christianity. The idea of Christianity is that we are looking at someone else. right? John the Baptist is going, look at him, right? Paul is saying, follow me as I follow him, right? So the whole idea is we're looking over there at someone else. We're pointing at someone else who's the Savior. As soon as we get our eyes off of him and we start looking at ourselves, or we start comparing ourselves to other people, or we start thinking about our own performance, right? We end up elevating us and lowering other people and go, well, at least I'm not as bad as so-and-so. And we start playing that kind of game. But it's really not about that. It's really ultimately about someone else that has so captured our life, our imagination, our heart, that we just can't shut up. And not in a pushy way. It's just like, if you hang out with us long enough, eventually Jesus is going to come up, because we're just so fascinated by Jesus. We like him so much. He's just so different than every other character on the planet that seeks their own glory. We were talking about that this morning. It's kind of wild. A few of us were talking about that this morning, that I had this light bulb moment where I went, I am more arrogant than God, right? And I have nothing to be arrogant about, because God has no pride in him. Jesus has no pride and no arrogance. You have the one who created everything, designed you, died for the world, saved humanity, right? Like put your cells together, gives you every breath that you have, breathes stars into existence, and doesn't have an ounce of arrogance or pride in him. And yet we do. Why do we have pride and arrogance and boasting? It's just bizarre, isn't it? Why will we be so impressed with ourselves? Why are we so opposite of the one who chose to be invisible amongst us, that doesn't want to self-promote himself, but chooses to be lowly and to descend? You know, the one who kept going down all the way to the bottom, right? He came from heaven to earth and became a baby, helpless, and was fed, and diapers changed, not diapers, cloths, whatever. Anyway, and right, all that, and then died as the worst of the worst criminal kind of death, right? He descended the whole way, and then he went, this is the way. I am the way. What I did, you do. It isn't about climbing the ladder. It's about getting down the ladder, because it's about serving. I am among you as one who serves. It's very opposite our mentality. Isn't he good? Like, isn't that the type of God you want to follow? How often have we had an image of God where he's angry, he's above everyone else, he's dominant, he's forceful, he's pushy, he's crushing people, and yet in Jesus says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I am what God is like. If you want to know what God is like, look at me. That's what Jesus is saying right here. I am the perfect representation of the Father, is what Jesus said. And so you go, that's what God is like. God is like Jesus. Now we know, humans know what God is like, because God put on human flesh and dwelled among us, and he showed us, and he walked the streets, and he lived amongst people, and he forgave people that hurt him while they were hurting him, simultaneously forgave and loved and showed grace. And you go, this is what God's like. It's just amazing. So at the end of the day, it sort of takes away this, like, how did I do mentality that we have. Am I doing a good job? Am I lovable? Did I do enough? All that, right? Or look at me, and all that kind of stuff that's in us. It's hard to get rid of that, isn't it? It's in us. We struggle with that. We're in sin, as we talked about last week. It's like the soup that we swim in. It's the marinade that we're in. We're in a broken world. It's Narnia before it comes to life again, right? In winter, like we're in this the brokenness of the world. We're in all of that, and so we struggle to think differently, but we're also in Christ now. And being in Christ means that we deny ourselves and take up our cross and follow him. To live as Christ, to die as gain. He's like I am your life, is what Jesus says. So it's an invitation. Like, you don't need to be seduced by a world that's like stepping on other people's faces to get to the top. You can actually like be invisible and love other people and go unnoticed. And this is like the way of the kingdom. And people aren't going to be impressed by it. People aren't going to talk about it, but you get to be kind of ninjas that are like behind the scenes, loving and blessing and serving and being invisible and watching God work in beautiful ways in the lives and hearts of other people. That's what we get to be. We're free to do that. We don't have to fake and pretend and claw and crush and poke. We get to just receive the love of God and bless others out of a place of gratitude. Just really beautiful. It's like at the end of the day, you're like, how did it go today? You're like, we delivered the packages, man. It was great. We delivered the packages. It's not like, look at me, number courier of the month, baby. That's not the idea, right? Like, I crushed that route, sucker. Right? That's how we oftentimes. Did you hear this great speaker, or this great presenter, or this? That's not the idea, right? Who is Paul? Who is Apollos? Just servants of God. That's it. It's like, where is the boasting? Gone. It's not about apostle, honorable, yada, yada, yada. It's not that. It's about descending into not being impressive or important or noticed or self-promoting or arrogant or prideful. It's the opposite. The kingdom operates in an opposite kind of way. This really, really does. And it's beautiful. And I'm telling you, your friends, your coworkers, the people you know are sick and tired of arrogance, pride, condescension, judgment, people thinking they're better. They actually think, many of them think that's what church and Christianity is about. That's why they're turned off to it. Am I right?
Yeah.
And what they need is a good dose of the humility of Jesus that comes out of our lives. People that are not trying to show off, that are not talking about how much better they are, that are not trying to get to the top, people that literally love them, but with no strings attached, that serve them, but don't need anyone to know about it. A different picture and flavor of the kingdom that causes people to go, tell me about the hope that lies within you. Things that you do and say and live that most people don't even know about through the course of the week. It's the stuff that we do in private that's full of love and grace and goodness that nobody knows about. That's the true stuff of the kingdom of God, right? Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to give you one other one that I want to read here that I think is another great image. I feel like God just kind of gave this to me this week, which is why I was like, you know what, forget Acts for now. We're going to do something else. And it's Matthew 15. I'm going to go there. Matthew 15. And we're going to do 21. And Jesus went away from there and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying, have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon. But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, send her away, for she is crying out after us. He answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But she came and knelt before him, saying, Lord, help me. And he answered, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. She said, yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered her, O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire. And her daughter was healed instantly. Okay, so Matthew 15, 21 to 28. I want you to process together what this is about, because it sounds very uncharacteristic of Jesus to say, I only came for Israel. Why would I give this to the dogs and basically call this woman a dog? So what is happening here? Talk about it, and then we're going to talk about it together. What do you think it is? Go.
Asking.
Okay, guys, let's get some feedback here. What'd you come up with? What do you think? What do you think is happening here? He says this. I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire. What do you think is going on here? So those who threw into the chat online are saying, we think that Jesus was testing her faith. And kind of like a test.
This prayer of the righteous availeth much. Like if you kept, even though you didn't get the miracle at first, you keep.
So persistence,
Yeah.
thinking persistence.
And praise, like, praise moves God.
Mhm. Let me ask you a question. Did Jesus come to save the world? Did Jesus so love the world that he came to save the world? Did Jesus come to condemn the world or to save it? All of it, or just Israel? just like a cul-de-sac, or the whole thing? Okay, so he came to save the whole thing. He came to save the world. Did he come for the lost? He came to seek and save the lost. Did he come for the healthy or for the sick? Okay, so we've established that Jesus came to save the world, that it was for the joy set before him that he went to the cross, that he came not to condemn the world, but to save the world. So do you think that Jesus was serious when he said, I only came for Israel? Did Jesus have to go to Samaria, the place where the outcasts were? Did he say, I have to go there, I want to go there? When he went to see the woman at the well? Yes. He said, I've got to go to Samaria, the place that the Israelites would avoid. So you've got Jesus who came to seek and save the lost. He came not for the healthy, he came for the sick. He went to the people that were broken and outcast and mistreated. What is Jesus doing here? He's using sarcasm, people. He's looking and he's surrounded by the religious people that think this woman is beneath them. And so Jesus looks at her. I can only imagine the look on his face. And he goes, well, I just came for Israel. Looking around at all the righteous, holy people that think they're above her. Well, it's not right to give bread to the dogs. And then her and her faith, she looks at him and goes, well, even the dogs get the scraps. And he's like, great is your faith, healed, right? We tend to think about Jesus as not being playful, as not interacting with people and having fun with them, as not trying to make a point about what's happening in the surrounding. But what is Jesus doing here? He's observing all these religious people and the way they think, and he's literally articulating their thoughts. She's beneath us. We can't give bread to the dogs. I've only come for the Israelites, which is what the Pharisees would have thought, that the Messiah only came for Israel. So what is Jesus doing? He's calling out their prejudices. He's calling out their exclusion. He's literally like making a mockery out of them in front of them by then turning around and blessing this person that they think is beneath them. Can almost picture, it almost has the flavor of when Jesus forgave the woman that was caught in adultery. And then he looks around at all the self-righteous religious people that want to stone her. And as they walk away one by one, and he said, does no one condemn you? And he said, neither do I. The only one who had the right to condemn her that was perfect, he who is without sin, cast the first stone. The only one that was without sin that could have stoned her didn't. He was the one that absolved her, that called her innocent and righteous and let her go. And then he looks at her and does this. Now, go be perfect. How long is she gonna last? Not very long, right? Which is Jesus's pattern. You must be perfect as I am perfect. You must be holy as I am holy. Go and never sin again. Your righteousness must be beyond the scribes and the Pharisees, meaning you can't do it. 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 I can't do it. Nobody can do it. I've done it. I am the way. Not you trying harder is the way. I am the way. Believe in me, you'll never die. Trust in me, I am your life, right? Just abide with me. Just attach yourself to me because I am your hope. Your hope isn't in using me as an example to try harder. Your hope is me. That's what Jesus is saying. I am your hope. Look to me, not look to me and then do your best. He's saying, no, look to me. I am your hope. Let me be your obsession. Anything good that comes out of you is going to come because we've been hanging out together and I'm just rubbing off on you and you're starting to look like me because you look like the company you keep. So just hang out with me and see what happens. There's something really, really beautiful there. Isn't this a beautiful story when you understand it correctly? And I think you understand these stories through the collective picture of the whole larger New Testament story, the whole larger Bible story where you go, wait a second, what is God doing? What did Jesus do? What did he come to do? What is happening? Who's here? Who's in the environment? What is this conversation that's taking shape? And you get more of a picture of, oh, I see what Jesus is doing here. He's playing with them, right? He's playing with them a little bit. He's getting a point across because this is how these people think. He's got to make the point. I came to seek and save the lost. That's what I came for. I came to give bread to the dogs, the so-called dogs, the people that you think are beneath you, that are actually made in my image and I love and are of great value. I give up my life for them because I love them, right? He's making a point to these people. And I think this stuff shows us a lot about who Jesus is and what he's like. And it makes me like Jesus more. How about you? It's like, wow, how refreshing is Jesus. And so these images of servant, we were talking about this the other week. You girls were there. We were talking about this the other week. What would be the equivalent of washing someone's feet today? What do you think? Because it's not like when you have friends that come from, York. Well, welcome from York. Come on into my humble abode. Take off your shoes. And then you start washing their feet. They'd be like, you're creepy. What are you doing? Do you have a foot fetish or something? What are you doing washing my feet? This is so, because people don't do that in our culture. So what now in our culture is equivalent to washing people's feet? What do you think? Letting them make themselves at home. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people like my home is my castle. I'm not welcoming people in. We're not reclining together. Okay. What else? What do you think is another good, making a meal for them? Okay. It's still, I'd go a little further and go, washing their feet was like a dirty, grimy, they walked everywhere. They're okay. Yeah. Washing their underwear. That'd be one maybe. Okay. You got that one. There you go, scooping dog poop in the yard. That's a great one. How about this one? The other week, Elise went into the bathroom and she took this like wad of toilet paper and she was like cleaning her nose or whatever. She threw it down into the wastebasket next to the toilet, but it didn't make it in the wastebasket. It landed next to the wastebasket in between the toilet and the wastebasket, right? And she didn't pick it up. So I walked by and I'm like, who left this nasty mess in here, right? And then I discover that it's her. And I'm like, Elise, come here. You got to pick that up and throw it away. And she's like, no. She's like hyperventilating. Like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. And then we're like, but you threw it down there. You have to pick it up and throw it away. And she's like, but the boys pee and they miss. And then there's like the dried up pee on the side of the toilet. But I'm like, this is the equivalent of washing someone's feet, right? It's like cleaning up the dried up urine spots next to the toilet, right? And Jesus said, the greatest among you will be the one who actually humbles themselves to say, I want to serve people. And it's going to get dirty. Yeah, I do it all the time, bro. but typically not with joy. Typically not with joy. Usually we do that with a little bit of a grumbling and frustration and all of that, instead of like, this is what one of the greatest pictures of leadership I ever saw was I was working in a warehouse, coming out of high school, working in a warehouse, and the guy who owned this multi-million-dollar company, it had this warehouse, the swimming pools and spas and supplies. He owned this warehouse. And I was asked as part of my job to clean the bathroom. And I was grumbling, like, I don't want to clean this nasty bathroom. These warehouse workers are pooping and peeing, and there's stuff all over the place, and it's gross, and I don't want to clean it. And I walked by a few days later, and I saw the owner of this multi-million-dollar company scrubbing the toilet when I walked by the bathroom. And I thought, I'll do whatever that guy wants. It's a picture of Jesus, right? Is you have the king, the creator, who washes the feet of the people, right, that are dirty. And you go, this is what Jesus has called us to do. These are pictures of the kingdom. And so I think to be a beggar or needy, right? That's what it means to be a part of the kingdom. Not to be impressive. Look at me. Look at how moral I am. We think that's what the kingdom's about. The kingdom is about being a beggar and about being a courier. The kingdom is about delivering packages and just needing somebody else to forgive us and save us and love us in spite of our brokenness. That's what it's about. So I want you, last thing I want you to do is just to take a moment and think about, where does pride, arrogance, and ego slip into my life? Where does pride, arrogance, and ego get a hold of me? So talk about it with people around you. Go ahead. Where does pride, arrogance, and ego slip into your life?